Hello, good morning. This is Jen. We are doing some yoga this morning. Every single morning, I'm like, what day is it? But it is definitely Wednesday. I double checked. So it was interesting. I was taking, or I have been actually in the last month taking some more yoga classes just to, get a feel for what people are doing, how people are teaching and all that stuff. Good morning, Myung. And I realized that one of the things that I hear often is, oh, you can do this freestyle, whatever your body is interested in doing. And that's cool. I love that. But I also realized that sometimes we don't know what freestyle means. And a case in point is there's this dance game that I used to play called Dance Central. So there's Dance Central and there's also Just Dance. And Dance Central, in the middle of the song, there would be 30 seconds or so where they'd be freestyle. And I would not know what to do. I'd just be paralyzed and do random weird stuff. And so I realized that freestyle in yoga might feel the same way. The teacher gives you the opportunity to freestyle, but you have no idea what that means. So I thought today we'd kind of cover some different options. So when you hear cat cow, just do your own variations, you might have a better sort of guidance or better starting point as to what freestyle means for you. And really it's just experimenting, but sometimes just a little bit of guidance or framework is really helpful for you to discover what that actually means for you. And don't worry, it's never a dance freestyle situation where I'm just going to sit there and watch you. Because for me, that's a big struggle. All of a sudden freestyle is what? I don't know what to do. So it might seem basic for some of you, so I'm just giving you the heads up of what I'm interested in covering a little bit today, at least. So people who are not as familiar maybe with yoga in general might have a better way of framing what freestyle means when you hear it in class. All right, so after that very long intro, let's go ahead and get started with your left leg crossed in front of your right. Just a super easy seat. Oftentimes you hear of this, just an easy cross-legged, right? So no big deal. Relax your arms down and then just close down your eyes for a brief moment. Empty out your lungs. Take a full deep inhale, lengthen tall, breathe deep. On your exhale, stay tall. Start to soften your face. Actively soften your cheeks, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. Do that again. Full deep inhale. Long, slow exhale. Your next inhale, open your eyes. Reach your arms all the way up high toward the ceiling. And then on your exhale, drop your right hand down, reach your left arm up, bend over. So a nice little simple side body stretch. And on your next inhale, stay lifted on your right side body. Good. And on your exhale, reach out a little bit farther. Maybe you peek up toward the ceiling. Excellent. Let's switch it out then. On your next breath, lower your left hand down, reach your right arm up and over. And stay lifted up on your left hand side. So you have one side super strong and the other side as you reach super long. Maybe you peek up toward the ceiling. Good. And your next inhale, gently release. Let's switch out our cross. So your right leg crossed in front of your left. So a couple of chest circles here. Just push it forward, out to your left, and then hollow it out. I kind of I'm wearing this shirt that's very easy to see. Really push your chest forward, out to your left, and then hollow it out. The shirt gets wrinkled, and then out to the right. Again, so front, and then out to your left, and then you hollow it out to your right. Last time, go front and left, and then hollow out to your right. Once again, you go to the front, and then circle it out to your right, hollow it out, and back to your left. Good. Circle it forward, and out to your right. Big chest circle, start to warm up our bodies here. Chest goes forward and out to the right and hollow it. Good, nice and big. Chest forward and out to the right, hollow, and out to your left. Good, chest forward, hollow it. One more time, just a reset, chest forward, beautiful, and a hollow. Come forward into a tabletop, and then we'll move into our traditional cat-cows. And this is kind of where you often will hear the freestyle. So our traditional, more conventional one, as you inhale, drop your belly, open your chest. So really feel your chest come forward of your shoulders, just like we did earlier, yep. And then exhale, we round. And this is really, as much as you put into it, you'll get out of it. Inhale, go drop your belly, open your chest. So think of not just creating a shape, right? Continue to stay active. And exhale, go round. Especially in the round, you can feel you separate out your blades, chin in, rounding through these shoulders. And then as we start to get into kind of more freestyle things that you might hear, you might want to go a little bit farther back. So in your, these are just different options, right? So in your cat or cow, as you open up through your chest, you might play around with sinking your hips back, right? And then as you round, you might shift forward and hollow out, right? This is called cat. Sometimes if you forget, like a scared cat, they oftentimes say. And you can also play around with this rounded spine into a hips back situation, right? And this sometimes feels good for me to separate out my blades even more. Okay, and then as you come back through center, you might oftentimes hear shake your hips out to the right, to the left, right? So this is a very literal thing, right and left. And then maybe you sometimes even hear this whole movement of your hips in a circle. So really, it's also exactly what it sounds like, but I'll go through it with you just in case when you hear it, you're like, what's going on? So as you send your hips out to your left, sit your hips back down toward your heels, circle it over to your right heel, and then pick yourself back up. Let's do 3 more times. So left, and that feels really nice, and I'll change the angle so you can see it from a different perspective. So 2 more times, you literally send it out to the left, sit your butt down, and then circle it around, yep. And then 1 more time, and this is pretty strong through your chest, right? Meaning we're not allowing our chest to dump, right? Even in your cow, you're never dumping to arch. It's a lifted situation, right? So let's go to the other side. So drop your hips, or push your hips, I should say, to the right, and then drop your hips down, and then circle your hips around, right? Out to the right, and still very strong. So you're pushing strong against the floor. And these can be as slow or as fast as you want them to be. I did a kind of a lot of glute work this morning, so I feel like this is very nice for my purposes, just to stretch things out. So once you've done 4, let's come back through center. And then real quick, I know we've been on our hands, maybe your wrists don't feel the best. There are always options here. You can fist it and push away for straight wrists. And then probably I encourage just a micro bend. So my arms, if I let them go completely straight, look like this, right? If I can just push away a little bit, get a little bit stronger, more supported in my position, this is less likely to cause any snaps or anything else, right? So pull your navel in and really feel strong. If your wrists feel like they need a reversal, a quick stretch, go to tops of hands on floor. And I always like to keep my fingertips pretty darn close to my knees to start. And then if I'm feeling like, okay, it feels okay with my hands in this position, maybe I will walk it out a little bit farther. Still, if this feels okay, then I might lean back just a little bit, meaning my hips come down closer with my heels, and you should feel that stretch highlighted just a bit more. Notice that shoulders will want to pop up in this just to find a defensive position. See if you can still roll these shoulders back as you sit your hips back if you are even sitting your hips back at all. Remember, this is not like more is better. It's totally what your body is giving you for today. All right. Let's return back to the hands underneath shoulders, normal conventional tabletop position. I know we've still been doing these cat-cow variations, but I did want to dedicate the time to it, so bear with me. We've done the hips, the circles, and then earlier I had said chest, you want to push it away. I'm going to take that back now as we do these chest circles. So as we do our chest circles, I'm going to let my chest kind of circle out to the right and then hollow it out, right? So I'm chest to the right, to the left. It's a counterclock circle, and then hollow out chest. Twice more. So I'm letting my chest circle and letting my chest circle, really deliberately focusing on my chest. I'm gonna go the other direction now. So let my chest drop to the left-hand side and think about drawing the circle with your chest and then hollowing out. All right, so take some time here to find a deep circle, and it's your chest that's initiating. So other areas of your body, of course, are moving along with, but you're thinking about your chest doing the movement, and the rest of your body, however it's moving, is just moving as a function because that your chest has done that movement. All right, we've done the hips, we've done the chest. Another option to do then is to combine those two together. And this is one of those things where it feels a little bit like this. I'm like, am I patting my belly or am I rubbing my belly? It's like really hard to understand, right? So I'll do a couple of these facing forward and then I'll switch it out. We'll do counterclock with our chest. Now let me think. I'm doing counterclock with my chest. My hips are going in. It should feel natural, so I have to think about it. But if I'm counterclocking my chest, my hips are also, I believe, counterclock. So I'll do it slowly. Slowly is actually more difficult, so hopefully you can gain some momentum. As you move your chest to your right, my hips kind of pop out left. I'm exaggerating a lot right now. And then as I circle forward, my hips pop out over to the right. As I hollow, I do a little bit of a tuck coming through center, and then I'm ready to go again. But there's a circle of my hips and a circle of my chest. And whatever my center body does, it does. And you're like, Jen, this seems like the same thing all over again. It is, but it isn't. When you hear freestyle, really, I'm doing the opposite side. It is really what it is, right? Freestyle. So one is a deliberate intention earlier that we did of hips. The next one was the deliberate intention of chest. And now combining the both, I'm creating kind of this body roll in my body that has both of equal focus, right? And so you're sort of letting your center do whatever it does. Okay. Quickly, if you need a reset, flip out, of course, this way, or of course you can do this, whatever feels nice to you. I'll add one mention here. You can make those as big and as small as you want. So even though they're equal focus chest and hips, you can also get your head involved if you want to go bigger. So as you go here, kind of letting your neck move into a head circle as well, a little bit of a head roll. And this really ought to feel natural. So meaning when you start getting into it, I don't want to give you too much instruction, but I want to create a framework, right? So if your head naturally moves in whichever spot, whichever head roll, you do that for yourself. And as we moved into the hips earlier, one extra option, if you wanted to go deeper, right? This is my simple left and right. You can start to look toward your opposite foot. As you send your hips right, you look toward your left foot. As you send your hips left, you look to your right foot. And these can be as slow, as fast, as deep or as shallow as you want to make them. And remember, these options, one is not better than the other. They're simply options. And I think on a day-to-day basis, your body will want one thing versus another thing, right? Just depending on what you've done the previous day or the last hour, right? All right, let's come back through center here. Sit your hips down and we'll drop our hips over to our left. So as you drop your hips down, extend your arms over to your right. A couple of things about this. These are also options, right? Meaning as you move into any sort of child's pose, if you're like, I love this feeling in my spine, but also, it would be nice to have some stretch in my glutes, hips area. This is a good one, right? So all we've done is moved hips to the left. And with the extension of our arms, you should feel the highlighted stretch running down the left side of your body. Now for me, this does feel good. But if I'm not super interested in the side body stretch, I'm more concerned about my hip glute stretch. I like to brace myself with left hand on the left side and send my hips out. Because now I don't have to like sort of hold myself together to avoid falling, right? With your arms out to the right, you're sort of like, I don't want to say tensing up, but a little bit just to keep your body in position, right? You know, body tension. This kind of goes away and you're allowed to really fall into that stretch on your left side hip with this left hand bracing, right? So my butt is all the way out to the left and I'm using my left hand to support. And you could argue, well, that's tension, isn't it? You're right, but it's not. It's very isolated versus my whole body tensing up just simply to hold myself in balance. So you're right, absolutely. That is a little bit of tension, but to me, it's very minimal compared to the huge stretch that I can get simply by using my left hand to brace as opposed to having both arms extended out to the right hand side. We'll continue on with, so we just did our left butt cheek hip stretch. We'll do another thing. So let your butt just fall all the way over and we'll move into a spine twist real quick. So this right foot then, let's place it over our left knee. I lie, switch your legs, blend your right leg, put your left foot over your right knee. So I'm interested in now this same side, left butt cheek, general hip area, leg area stretch. The thing about this spine twist, my left butt cheek will always want to lift up and do this. I'm exaggerating, but not really. So when you find this position, depending on how open your bottom leg hip is, you might find yourself just in a subtle way lifting up, right? So this doesn't look terrible, but I know my left butt cheek is not down, right? It doesn't feel even the way my right butt cheek feels even against the floor. So that's one thing to note. If you're like in this position and your left butt cheek does not go down, right? That's totally fine. That's absolutely a situation you might find yourself in. Straighten out your bottom leg. This ought to really help you even out, because if you think about it, once you straighten out your left leg, you're simply sitting down, right? So if once you bend your left leg, your butt cheek is hiked, it's actually quite a bit harder for you to hike your butt cheek up. But you can feel how grounded you feel. And this is a really great way to gauge also if your both hips are even when you have your bottom leg bent. So let's just do it from here actually with your right leg straight and your left leg bent. Check one more thing. I'm being very detailed today. Check one more thing. When we do this spine twist, this left knee will want to drop out to this side. This will make it feel more comfortable as you twist, but you definitely lose the stretch of your bottom hip. So think of facing your left knee up toward the ceiling, not even a little bit out to this side. I know, like, what's the difference? It's very, very minimal. But again, if we can be precise about the situation, we can really give ourselves that much more of a stretch. So once we're here, sit up super tall. And if you are feeling still slouched with your hands in this position, place your left hand close with your base, right? Rather than out here, which it's like you're leaning into a glamour shot, you want to keep it close to use it functionally to lift yourself up, right? You're tall. Take your right arm up. A couple of things. If you want to wrap around and this offers you a good stretch, your left butt cheek is not lifted, awesome. If you're feeling like you can do maybe a little bit more in this twist, take this elbow rather than on the front side of your left knee, go to the outside of your left thigh. Check, butt cheek down. With this leverage of your arm outside of your left leg, it is very unlikely that your left knee will fall out to the left. You can check it. It is highly unlikely it will, though, which is nice. Then you hit two birds with one stone. Here's another place where teachers will often say, do whatever you want to do with your arms, right? Freestyle it. You're like, what does that even mean? So oftentimes I see a lot of people do this version. I personally do not find this to be a version that I personally would go to. But if this gives you better leverage of pushing your arm against your leg, by all means. This is just not something I go for generally. To me, if I'm really interested in pushing, I like just whatever my arm is doing, like sending my elbow into my leg. Or I like to grab my bottom leg, and this actually, to me, serves a purpose. It's like a gate, right? You push it away. As you twist deeper, my arm is naturally pushing against my leg, and my leg is braced against my hand that's touching my bottom leg. So this, to me, is a great way to use my own body to line up. Now, untwist. We've done those different options. Let's try the bottom leg bend. Remember, right? Mark this in our memory, how this feels, how stable, how even you feel. And notice that once you've let go of your arm against leg, if your left knee naturally falls over to the left. I'm exaggerating, but I saw my leg just little bit tilt over, right? The moment I let it go. So these are just observations, and we're not, again, oftentimes you've heard that, or I don't know if you've heard that phrase where like perfection is like the enemy of something of progress or moving forward. And that's true. So we're just doing the best that we can to find good alignment, to have good details, but ultimately like it doesn't, like there's no such thing as perfect. Where you are is perfect, right? Fine. So if you have your bottom leg bent to try this option, just notice when you're sitting, just even right now, if you're tilted over to the right, and it might be super subtle, right? So we're not talking about like 90% on your right butt cheek and 10% on your left butt cheek. Maybe we're talking about like 55-45. So very, very subtle distinction, but see best we can if we can find some evenness, right? In both sides. And then once we continue, left hand again, if you have any time supporting yourself, it behooves you to bring your hand closer, because when we bring it back, it's just so easy to default lean, right? And I mentioned that time and time again, but I just think it's a very important thing to mention, right? Once you lift yourself up, for the mildest version, you wrap your arm against your leg, right? So my right elbow is kind of in front of my left kneecap. It's almost like you're giving yourself a good hug, right? Check even in this hug position. If your left butt cheek is popped, you drop it. Drop it down, big stretch. Same thing, you can create this option. I personally don't go for this option that often. And if your leg is bent, I personally, again, like to go for my bottom knee. To me, it helps me find good alignment. My arm is pushed against my leg, and my arm doesn't have to work too hard, right? Because once I've grabbed onto my knee, I've sort of locked myself into place. Once I'm in this position, again, this is a personal preference, just an option. If you can let go of this backhand, right? So if you can let go of this backhand and still stay tall, I personally like to wrap my left arm around. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm reaching for my right, like inner thigh, hip flexor area, right? Let me see if I can change the angle so you can see. So all these details, I reach for that side and then I drop my left butt cheek, double check, and continue to twist. Good, and then gently untwist. All right, so let's move into the other side. Funny thing, when I was demonstrating this last version, I lifted up my left butt cheek just to grab, and then I dropped it back down, which is sometimes something that you gotta do. All right, so earlier we sat down and we sent our hips to the left, so we'll now send our hips to the right. And send your arms out to your left and see how this feels. To me, the interesting thing about this is that sometimes I feel so much. Other times I feel not a lot at all. And that is how I feel right now. This doesn't offer me a huge stretch. Now, just like the other side we did, you can brace your right hand against the floor and see if that helps you lean a little bit deeper into this right side, pushing your right butt cheek out to the right more. See if that offers you a deeper stretch. And it's weird. Again, I did, kind of some glute work, so I would expect both sides to be kind of in need of some stretch. But it was really that first side that I was like, ooh, here I don't feel a ton, right? And that's not to say that, well, maybe I didn't work as hard on this side, but also maybe it's just like your body is kind of okay with this side, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't need the stretch as much. And maybe for you, this side is the side where you're like, ooh, this feels so good. But really, I encourage you to experiment with all these different options. And now, hopefully, as you've sort of built a framework, we've built these different options together today. Hopefully, you feel like you have the ability, you can sit your bottom over to your right. And just because we did this earlier, put your left foot over your right knee, and then we'll switch. All right, so bend your left leg and put your right foot over. Hopefully now that you have sort of some ABCs to work with, you will find good options for yourself, good resources to tap into when you do need to find a stretch that's appropriate for your needs for that day, for that hour, for that moment. All right, so just when here we're sitting in this position, notice you can see if I don't have my heel super close to my bottom knee, it's also easy to default knee dropping out toward this side. So that's another detail we can kind of note in our head, right? So the closer your heel is right up against your knee, the more likely your knee will face up toward this ceiling. The more your heel is just outside of your hip and not underneath you, I see this oftentimes. Oh, why can't my right butt cheek go down? It's sitting on my heel. There is no space for it to go down. Then you must move it out of the way, not too much, but give yourself some room for your right butt cheek to sit up nice and tall. Feel it out. If this is too much, again, a good option to try, and we're all gonna do it together, is straightening out your bottom leg. All right, so you straighten out your bottom leg, and this gives us some good information, right? You straighten out your bottom leg. Hopefully it feels a lot more accessible just to find an evenness left and right butt cheek. We're even, we're firm, we're supported, we're balanced. From here, as you bring your right hand close to the base of your spine, it is very rare that we would bring it outside. Bring it really close, lift your chest up nice and tall, and then start with your mild version of giving yourself a hug. Check with your right butt cheek, drop it, lift your chest up, and start from right here. And maybe, again, this is a huge stretch for you. Maybe not. If you feel like you can afford to go a bit more without letting your right butt cheek lift, then you start to hook this left arm outside of your right leg. And the interesting thing, this is like a basic spine twist, right? Why are you going through so many details? Because there are so many details. And that's kind of the cool thing about, I think, doing these quote unquote basic postures over and over again. It's like the more you do them, the more you realize, oh my gosh, there's this other detail that I can maybe focus in on and just find a little bit more finesse in this very basic posture for myself each time. Okay, if you have your arm out, and what I was trying to get at was with the twist, it's easy to slouch here. So again, with your twist, we want to make sure on inhale, we lengthen up tall, give yourself a little bit of space, and hopefully this gives you the opportunity to push into your leg, arm against leg, to twist deeper. As you twist deeper, it's easy just to default into left-hand side. You want to stay tall, stay lifted, maintain all those details that you've set up, and continue to twist from there. Now, we played around with some options. The arm up, again, personally, is something I just don't go for. I see it all the time. A lot of people love this option. It is not something that I reach for. It's just like you can appreciate a good-looking outfit, but it's something that you never go wear yourself. That's what it's like for me. I can appreciate it, but I just don't go for it. If this works though, great. Gives you leverage, awesome. You can also straighten out your left arm, and if you have access, reach for somewhere on your leg. To me, this is so nice because you push against your body parts basically to create some deeper stretch for yourself. Always you stay lifted, always you try to twist maybe a little bit deeper with your exhales. And when I say try to go deeper, I should rephrase that. My intention when I do stretches is not necessarily that I go deeper, but that I stay active, right? So meaning probably it ends up being the case that your stretch is deeper so long as you're active, like one begets the other. But my intention is not like, oh, I have to go deeper. The intention is that it doesn't become stale, right? So stays active, I stay active. And to me, let's untwist. If my body stays active, that's generally the case because my mind has stayed active to continue to work some details, whatever they may be, right? And they might be different details, so it doesn't look necessarily deeper. So as we move into this bent leg option, check if just automatically it feels easier to move body weight into your left hip. Drop your right butt cheek down. By doing this drop, notice if your right knee automatically wants to drop. Mine does. Maybe that's not a situation for you. I personally know that this is like 1, 2 is like always what happens. So I need to actively think about keeping my right knee facing upward toward the ceiling while my right butt cheek is dropped down. Okay. So again, right hand close with your base, pick up your left arm. If this mild one is good, stick with this. Notice even in your mild one, even though it is quote unquote mild, if your right butt cheek lifts up. It's a very subtle thing to notice, right? Because even with my right butt cheek lifted, I can twist, right? So I'm not losing the twist there. But if you drop your right butt cheek down, what you gain is this tremendous stretch. So if you feel something here and this works for you, stay. Or reach up again. The reason I like to reach up is because it helps me create some length, some lift. Elbow goes outside. Maybe you're here. And maybe you do this option. Maybe you super love this option that I don't take ever. And that's great. You should totally do it. I don't know. It feels okay, but it's just not something that I would go for. But notice again, you can find a big twist with your right butt cheek lifted. See if you can drop it down. And then notice I'm a little crunchy in my front body. I could probably afford to lift up using the help of my right hand, pull my belly in tighter, and then twist from there. Try, maybe you straighten out your left arm, reach for your bottom knee. Lift up a little bit taller, gain some length. And this is just super extra, but I kind of like it sometimes. If you feel like you can create all this lift, all this length, and preserve it without the use of your back hand, try wrap your right arm around your waist. And you might need to lift your butt cheek up a little bit. Reach for maybe a piece of clothing or toward your left hip flexor area. Wow, this stretch is huge for me. Not just in the twist, from the twist perspective, but really all throughout this area. And again, once you've done a lot of like work, which we generally do throughout the week, especially yesterday's strength, all that stuff, this midweek type of stretch is so nice. This is what I feel right here. Stay lifted, stay tall, go twist. Drop your right butt cheek down, go twist. Very nice. And then gently untwist here. We'll take both legs out long and just shake it loose real quick. Good. From here, stay tall, stay lifted. If you feel like you're unable to stay very tall, remember this option is so nice just to create some length. Flex your feet back towards your face. Always, I walk a little bit to help create some length as well. And then from here, we'll just take a deep breath in, arms up high toward the ceiling, stay tall, stay lifted. Lift your chest up, give me a cactus. Elbows out wide, broaden out through your front body. Yes, inhale, go arms all the way up. Push out right, left, lower, down. Very nice work. Again, today the whole idea was to create a framework for what freestyle looks like, because to me sometimes I feel very like hesitant to do anything because I don't know exactly what to do in a freestyle situation when it comes to dance. I was giving that dance example earlier, but maybe you feel the same way when it comes to yoga, like this cat cow, do your freestyle like thing. You're like, well, I don't know. This cat cow is all I know. So hopefully this created a better framework for you to experiment. And there's no right or wrong when it comes to these things, so long as you're moving mindfully and thinking about what causes what, meaning like you do the A experimentation and your effect is the B. If that B works for you, whether it's a stretch in your glutes or a deeper stretch in your side body, whatever it is, you just take note of that and hopefully you're able to access that when you need it again. So that's the idea. We kept it pretty chill today. That was mainly for my sake because I'm really, really sore. So thank you so much for being here. Great to see you, Myung. Tomorrow we are on for some faster things. And I think like oftentimes we are doing things in a fast fashion or a short class. So we don't get the opportunity to do these explanation-y types of instructive types of classes. So hopefully this was informative and helpful in a different way. Tomorrow's cardio though, so drink all the waters, be prepared. And I'll see you tomorrow for a quick cardio bit. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Nice work today.